Tennessee.
This is NBC Nightly News, Thursday, January 23rd, with John Chancellor reporting tonight from Washington.
Good evening. We're doing the program from Washington tonight because later this evening, Tom Brokaw and I will be in the White House interviewing President Ford. That conversation with the president will be shown this evening on NBC at 10 o'clock, 9 Central Time. And at the White House this afternoon, the president used his executive power to proclaim the first of a series of increasing tariffs on imported oil. Tariffs which ultimately will raise the price of gasoline by at least 3 cents a gallon. Some Democrats in the Congress who opposed the tariffs were furious. Some Northeastern governors were furious. In all, a busy day at the White House. John Cochran has that story.
Energy policy was the chief concern inside and outside the White House gates today as hundreds of New Jersey workers demonstrated, urging President Ford to make sure enough natural gas is available to keep their factories operating. Inside, Mr. Ford met with Northeastern governors who told him higher oil tariffs would cause economic disruption in their states. Some governors said they would go to court to block him from raising oil levies. Mr. Ford said higher oil prices were necessary, but he promised special steps to help Northeast states. That did not satisfy the governors, who said the president had been misled by his advisors.
It's not good for conservation. It's not good for the economy. It's a step taken without inputs by the governor or by conciliation and discussion with the Congress. It's unilateral action by a president who is going to coerce the Congress and evidently the country into adopting his course of action.
We will pursue all remedies. We had hoped that the president would delay the implementation of this. We are hoping that Congress will act to provide for a hearing. There are questions as to the constitutionality of this action. The attorneys general of our various New England states are meeting together and will define a plan of action.
While governors were still leaving the White House, Mr. Ford signed the order for higher oil tariffs. He said it was a first step to reduce American dependence on foreign oil. Congressional Democrats had asked the president to delay the order, but Mr. Ford had refused, and he joked that his order might be unpopular.
I don't see anybody clamoring for extra pens.
Then Mr. Ford held an unusual news conference outside where he denied he'd refused to compromise.
The Congress is in session. The Congress has an opportunity to act on my program or produce their own. And if the Congress produces an equitable, comprehensive plan, of course I'll consider it. But the time for action is now. We've diddled and dawdled long enough. We have to have an energy program in this country. And the only way I know to get it is to take the action that I took, which has incidentally produced more action within the last 10 days on energy than I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years.
Mr. Ford's aides hope the public will feel he is exerting strong leadership by meeting face-to-face with his critics, such as the Northeast governors, and by taking on Congress. Although the president still talks of compromise, his actions look more like confrontation. John Cochran, NBC News, at the White House.
And while all of that was going on, the Federal Energy Administration estimated that the president's overall energy-saving program would cost the average household from $275 to $345 a year. Of that cost, about $170 a year would be for energy, fuel, and electricity itself. The rest in increased costs of food, plastic, and other products. And to allow financing of the president's proposed tax cut and other anti-recession measures, the administration today asked Congress to increase the national debt ceiling to more than $600 billion by the middle of next year. The debt is now $495 billion. The administration wants to increase the debt ceiling by 22% by the middle of 1976. Also on the program this evening, we'll be hearing some of the hard things the Democrats are saying about the president's tax and energy proposals. We'll be reporting on a sudden surge in the sale of new cars brought on by the rebates offered by the big automakers. And we'll take a special look at some garbage to see how much food Americans pay for but don't eat. The amount is astonishing. Those stories and others in a moment.
Grandma! Hi, darling. You're
hair's different. It's so pretty.
Well, I use Johnson's baby shampoo like you.
Oh.
When I saw my hair getting dull and lifeless, I said it needs a little babying with a gentle shampoo. And Johnson's can't even harm a baby's eyes.
Your hair's so shiny, Grandma.
If your hair is losing its young, lively look, baby it with Johnson's baby shampoo from Johnson & Johnson.
Like so many others, I have arthritis. So do several of my friends. The way they talked about Exocane sounded too good to be true.
This is Exocane, Exocane medicated foam, the only leading rub containing benzocaine, the fast-acting anesthetic that deadens pain up to hours at a time. Exocane starts to penetrate immediately to temporarily deaden minor aches and pains of arthritis.
I do feel less pain with Exocane.
Fast-acting Exocane to temporarily deaden minor arthritis pain.
Today's action by the president to raise the tax on imported oil, along with his energy-saving and tax rebate plans, have stirred up considerable opposition among Democrats in both houses. A move is underway in the Senate to block his executive action on the oil tax, and his proposals are under heavy fire in the House, especially in the Ways and Means Committee. Here's a report on all that from Catherine Mackin.
On the House side, the Ways and Means Committee moved immediately to head off the president's tax increase on oil imports. The committee expects to pass a bill tomorrow that would force a 90-day delay in the Ford plan. Throughout the Capitol, there was talk that the president may have placed himself on a collision course with Congress through his actions of last night and today. At this session with Treasury Secretary Simon, the atmosphere was bitter as the president's plan was discussed. Chairman Al Ullman led the criticism.
We think that it's an unnecessary confrontation. We're extremely disappointed with the president. We think he made a mistake. We think maybe he's playing games with the Congress, and we don't like it.
Senator Edward Kennedy was joined by more than half the Senate in a resolution he and Senator Jackson sponsored that also would postpone the oil tax for 90 days.
Those that are sponsoring this resolution would hope that the president would make Pennsylvania Avenue a two-way street, and listen to the voices in the Congress that want to work with him in the development of a sound energy program, as well as a sound program to deal with recession as well as inflation.
President Ford has told the Democrats that if they don't like his programs, they'll have to come up with their own. Tomorrow, Senate Democratic leaders plan to make their first move toward doing just that. This suggests that the split between the White House and the Congress could get worse before it gets better. Catherine Mackin, NBC News at the Capitol.
The leadership of the AFL-CIO met in emergency session today to consider the administration's economic program. From President George Meany on down, they denounced it in its entirety.
The only good news in the president's speech was that he admitted that there was only bad news. In fact, the real bad news in the president's message was his own proposals. His economic program was the weirdest one I've ever seen.
Besides criticizing President Ford's proposals, Meany called for retaliation against Arab oil countries.
Every American school child could have told the government how to handle the blackmail demands of the Arab oil sheiks. The response should have been, very simply, not 1 cent for tribute. No tribute, no foreign aid, no trade, no jet fighters to these people, nothing until the blackmail stops.
One union leader after another said that President Ford's policies could lead to a depression.
Almost all of the hard or durable goods industry of this country is already in the midst of a terrible recession and could soon be in a deep depression.
And so as a realistic labor leader, I say to you this morning, if we're not on the fringes of a depression, at least in my industry, we are in a depression.
The union leaders proposed an economic recovery program of their own, including tax cuts only for lower-income people and more federal help for the unemployed. The union leaders don't expect their program to be enacted, but they think it will put pressure on congressmen influenced by labor to vigorously oppose the president's program. Irving R. Levine, NBC News, Washington.
More pressure on the administration is certain to come from farmers because the president's energy proposals will drive up the cost of practically everything they use in farming. Rebecca Bell has a report on what some farmers are doing now.
Stoney Atkins is taking a gamble putting fertilizer on his fields this early. But he's doing it because Atkins and other Midwest farmers figure that President Ford's energy program will drive up the cost of fertilizer, fuel, pesticides, and transportation. Atkins says he can't afford more cost hikes. Atkins is also selling some of last year's corn harvest. Again, he doesn't like what he sees. Cash prices for corn and soybeans have dropped 20 to 30% since last October. A lot of farmers blame this drop on the administration's policy of holding down farm exports.
What this all boils down to is that the farmer sees his costs being driven up by the president's energy program and his income being cut by the president's export policy.
How am I going to survive in this mess with a bunch of economic advisors playing tiddlywinks with a profession and a great segment of our economy that actually the whole general public depends upon for food?
Right now we're in a situation where we're between a rock and a hard place, cost price squeeze. The costs are raising very rapidly, and the only way we can adapt to this is to spend less.
Early indications are that farmers are beginning to spend less. Farm implement dealers say shoppers and orders for farm equipment have dropped dramatically since the first of the year. One more indication that Midwest farmers are reacting adversely to President Ford's new policies. Rebecca Bell, NBC News, Southern Illinois.
Before I used denture cream, I was so worried about my dentures looking dingy and yellow, I hardly opened my mouth. Having dentures took away my smile. Then I used denture cream. Denture cream is specially made to remove that dingy yellow film that builds up on dentures. Brush every day and the yellow doesn't come back. So my dentures have that natural look again. Having dentures took away my smile. Denture cream gives you back your smile.
That's our breakfast? My common sense.
Make breakfast count.
How?
We'll get 10 vitamins and iron. Won't worry about them all day.
Thrilling.
Vitamins can be fun. Kellogg's Product 19, the 4-grain cereal, gives us 100% of the U.S. recommended daily allowance for 10 vitamins and iron.
100%?
Try. Being smart tastes good.
Listen to your common sense. Start breakfast with Product 19.
The 4 big American automakers had encouraging news today, a 41% jump in sales in the second 10 days of the month over the first 10 days of January. Jack Paxton has the details.
Compared to what it was a few weeks ago, the car business is booming. For the second 10 days of the month, Chrysler had a sales increase of 90% over the preceding 10 days. Chrysler, which 2 weeks ago became the first car maker to give rebates, in effect to lower prices. But there's apparently more to it than rebates. Though the other car makers followed Chrysler with rebates of their own, they started too late to help the new sales figures, yet their sales were up too. General Motors sales rose 50%, American Motors 35%, Ford 12%. Auto executives hope the reason for that is a returning of consumer confidence.
Consumer confidence is the most important thing that we lack today. And the more that you can do to convince the consumer that now is a good time to buy, the better off we're all going to be. That's the only way we're ever going to get full employment.
Whatever else is helping, rebates are having an effect. Chrysler, the company that was hurting most, had by far the biggest sales increase. This is the room in Detroit where the rebates come from. People who buy certain models get a refund of $200 to $400. At least partly because of that, Chrysler's huge inventory is being substantially reduced for the first time in months. Just a few weeks ago, unsold Chrysler products covered the Michigan State Fairgrounds. Now the fairgrounds are going back to the horses. It's hoped that the inventory will drop to the point where Chrysler can call back some of the workers it's had to lay off. With their new programs, the auto companies feel they're taking a more positive approach, lowering prices instead of raising them, going after whatever business is available. It's too soon to be too optimistic, but so far, it seems to be working. Jack Paxton, NBC News.
The Ford Motor Company said today that the gasoline mileage of its cars will drop by an average of 20% if tougher engine emission standards go into effect as scheduled in 1977. That's more than any other car maker has forecast, and it's double the mileage loss estimated by the government. More oil from a leaking tanker washed up today on St. Croix and the Virgin Islands, but the Coast Guard said the pollution is minimal. The tanker sprung a leak yesterday, spilling more than 10,000 gallons. Here's more on the story from reporter Bob Kennan.
The oil spill from the Greek-registered supertanker was caused when the ship struck something, possibly an old wreck, and 65 feet of water off St. Croix. It maneuvered to unload. The accident ruptured 3 tanks. The ship steamed out of port immediately. Seawater displaced oil in the damaged tanks, creating a large slick. Some oil washed up on the rocky south shore of the island. The rest is being blown away from the island shore.
The slick is dissipating. We're very, very, very fortunate. We have what we call the Christmas winds down here in this area right now, and the wind is blowing from the northeast to the southwest. And with the position of St. Croix, the wind will blow the oil into the Caribbean Sea, and most likely will miss any other islands, including Puerto Rico.
Coast Guard Pollution Strike Force members say this incident, combined with the spill in the port of Singapore, has spread the unit so thin, another major incident could not be handled at full efficiency. This is Bob Kennan reporting for NBC from St. Croix.
Egypt's President Sadat told a French radio reporter today that his country and Syria will go to war only if attacked by Israel. And Israel's Premier Rabin today rejected Sadat's demand that Israel pull back from the Egyptian, Syrian, and Jordanian fronts within the next 3 months. In Cambodia today, 2 barges carrying ammunition arrived in Phnom Penh. It was the first river convoy to reach the capital in almost 1 month. But 8 other barges carrying food and fuel turned back because of enemy gunfire. In Washington, White House sources said President Ford will formally ask Congress within a week for $200 million more in military aid for Cambodia and $300 million more for South Vietnam.
We've asked a Viva user and a user of the towel that's known for its absorbency to do the Viva test.
Are your towels absorbent?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Now let's wash the window with a powdered cleaner. Come on, really give it a go. Okay, now pick up your towels by the corners.
Oh, it fell apart.
What do you think of your towel now?
I don't like it.
Well, Mrs. Bryant, what do you think of Viva?
I like it. That's why I always buy it.
Viva, the absorbent paper towel that keeps on working.
Here outside Phoenix, Arizona, we're installing another telephone office of the future. Totally electronic. It connects your calls faster, provides incredibly modern services. We've installed almost 700 nationwide. We're putting them in at the rate of 1 every 2 days. We plan to double the capacity of our phone network in 10 years to meet your needs, to keep your phone service the best in the world. We hear you.
Whole grain wheat, hard red spring wheat, whole grain rye. Whole grain means that the wheat germ and rye germ are still there. This is bran, this defatted flaxseed, and this is pure golden honey. Now, all of these ingredients are in Roman meal bread. Roman meal, the good-tasting light brown bread with natural whole grain goodness. The Roman Meal Company thought you'd like to know.
2 Republican senators, Baker of Tennessee and Weicker of Connecticut, introduced a bill today to create a new congressional committee that would watch over the FBI and the Central Intelligence Agency. Baker said he felt the CIA had intruded massively into the political activities of American citizens. Baker's a member of a separate Senate committee which will look into charges of domestic spying by the CIA and other intelligence agencies. The last of 4 hostages taken in a South Bend, Indiana holdup escaped today, but the 2 kidnappers still are at large. Mike Jackson reports.
High school sophomore Lucindy Sherman had been held hostage for more than 30 hours by 2 men armed with a revolver and shotgun. She was kidnapped Tuesday night from the clothing store where she worked. She told South Bend police that after being driven around northern Indiana and up into southern Michigan, she was taken back to South Bend and held in a home there. She said she escaped early this morning and ran away to a nearby restaurant where she called her mother for help. Ms. Sherman was apparently not hurt during her captivity. Under a federal kidnap warrant, police are looking for 23-year-old David Winter. He has an arrest record, but police won't say what the previous charges were. There's also a warrant for 20-year-old Arnold Brewer, said to be Winter's accomplice. Working on tips from informants, police have searched several South Bend homes, but as yet have not found the fugitives who began their flight in a police van they demanded Tuesday night. The suspects abandoned that vehicle later, and now police say they have no idea where to look. Mike Jackson, NBC News.
And in London, Ontario, in Canada, an escaped convict who took 4 children hostage on Tuesday was captured today when he released after he released his last captive. Police said Donald Wayne Klein was armed, but that he surrendered without a fight. Klein had made hostages of children of a farm couple who were old friends of his, George and Donna Field. One of the children, Donald Field, was named after Klein and called him Uncle Donald. 12-year-old Robert Field was Klein's last captive. Followed by police, Klein drove 100 miles to Toronto with the child, then returned to London and let the boy go. And after that, he was captured. Secretary of State Kissinger is going to California tomorrow to give a speech, and while he's there, he plans to visit former President Nixon at San Clemente. A State Department spokesman said Kissinger would see Mr. Nixon either tomorrow night or Saturday morning. The spokesman said the visit is a natural thing for Kissinger to do in view of his long relationship with the former president. Ralph Kiner today was elected to baseball's Hall of Fame. Kiner, who is 52 years old, won the National League Home Run Championship 5 times when he played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. In 2 other years, he was tied for the championship. Kiner was the only man of 37 eligible who was voted into the Hall of Fame today. A series of earthquakes shook California's Imperial Valley this morning. The quake was centered on near a town called Brawley. The tremors cracked walls and broke some store windows, but there were no injuries. We have another indication tonight of the effect that oil can have on Arabs who own it. Sheikh Al-Harif Al-Hamdan of Saudi Arabia wrote to a lawyer in Houston, Texas, to ask whether Texas would sell him the Alamo. The sheikh explained in these words, "My son learned to fly in San Antonio. He used to visit the Alamo and he loved it. I want to present it as a gift to my son." Well, today, Governor Dolph Briscoe of Texas pulled himself together and said no.
It's not just my nose. It's my sinuses.
Get the fastest relief known for occasional sinus congestion. Use Dristan Vapor Spray. Its medicated vapor penetrates deeper than most nasal sprays. All nasal decongestants work where they reach, but Dristan's added medicated vapor penetrates deeper than its decongestant, further up, further back, starts helping your sinuses feel cooler in seconds. The vapor penetrates deeper than most nasal sprays. Dristan Vapor Spray.
When your family moves into a new home, it's good to know the Hartford is with you. We're with you with the right insurance protection. Fire, theft, liability, even innovations like Inflation Guard to increase your coverage automatically as property value rises. The independent Hartford agent in your town is with you to protect your home and the family that will grow there. The Hartford and its agents. We're with you when you need us.
The extravagance of some Americans, the way they live, what they spend, and waste is a byword. But how do you put a figure on what Americans waste? The answer may lie in a study made at the University of Arizona. It's a very revealing story, and Gail Christian has it.
The Herman Bleibtreus of Tucson have an annual income of $25,000, but their food bill is up to $200 a month, and they're worried it will go even higher. Yet they're still in the habit of throwing food away after every meal. For the last 3 years, students at the University of Arizona have been sorting through the garbage of 600 Tucson families. Based on their findings, they have come to the conclusion that despite rising prices, people still throw away 10 to 15% of all the food they buy.
The garbage comes from families like the Blybe Troys, representing a cross-section of the Tucson community, who are unaware that their waste is being inspected. Students take out and weigh everything that could have been eaten. They have found that the largest proportion of edible food is thrown away by middle and upper-income families. This is due partly to purchasing habits. Poor families tend to shop on a daily basis and eat 92% of what they buy. Their garbage indicates they are responding to inflation by changing their food habits and eating 35% less protein and more starches because starches are cheaper. On the other hand, well-to-do families try to save money by buying in larger quantities to take advantage of discounts. But their garbage shows they still throw away 15% of what they buy because it either spoils before they get around to cooking it, or they cook too much and throw away what's left.
That's 500 grams of waste.
460 grams waste. 480 grams waste.
For the whole of Tucson, let's say in 1 year, people are throwing away about $1,300,000 worth of vegetables alone. $750,000 worth of pastries alone. So there's a wide variety of different items, but they tend to be things like fresh fruits and vegetables, which are hard to preserve, and strangely enough, meat, which is very, very expensive.
The garbage survey shows that Tucson's 500,000 residents throw away between $9 and $11 million worth of food each year. If the Tucson figures are typical of those of other cities, then the waste is staggering. In New York's metropolitan area, 10 million people may throw out $200 million worth of food a year. In Los Angeles, 8 million people may waste $160 million worth of food. And in Chicago, with more than 7 million people, $150 million worth of food may end up as garbage. If the Tucson survey is accurate, 220 million Americans may throw away $4.5 billion worth of food every year. That is enough to feed 20 million people a year, or the populations of Ethiopia, South Vietnam, or Canada. Gail Christian, NBC News, Tucson, Arizona.
The problem, of course, is that there's no way to get that uneaten food to hungry people. That's it for now. Tom Brokaw and I will be at the White House this evening interviewing the president. Until then, good night for NBC News.
I love working with youngsters. They're so keen on keeping fit. You can bet they've been practicing these exercises at home. Wish more grown-ups had the same idea. These kids are keen on grapefruit juice, too. They've grown up on it. What else is so refreshing that's so good for you? Not a lot of calories, and it's 100% pure. All the vitamin C you need, and other vitamins and minerals, too. For grapefruit juice at its best, see that it says Florida. There's nothing like it if you want to stay in shape.
What are you doing?
Taking off my eye makeup.
With Vaseline petroleum jelly?
Why use fancy creams?
Hey, what are you doing?
Getting these hands in shape.
With Vaseline petroleum jelly?
Best thing when they're roughed up.
What are you doing?
Keeping my little Susie happy.
With Vaseline petroleum jelly?
Helps prevent diaper rash.
What are you doing?
Moisturizing my dry skin.
With Vaseline petroleum jelly?
Beats lotions.
Vaseline petroleum jelly. The skin survival kit.
Hello, I'm John Chancellor. This evening, NBC News will present a conversation with President Ford, live from the White House. Tom Brokaw, our White House correspondent, and I will spend an hour with Mr. Ford talking about a lot of things. That's tonight at 10 Eastern Time, 9 Central Time.
This year, I found an easier way to get my taxes done. I went to Mr. Tax. You know, with their new computer, I got an instant tax return in just one visit. And that gave them a little more time to spend with me. What's more, their fee was low. For my money, they're the best in town. Mr. Tax. As easy as apple pie.
Mr. Tax of America, the tax service people for the people.
Come on, Linda. Sitter's here. Help yourself. A TV, soft drinks, potato chips.
I brought my own.
Your own potato chips?
Pringles newfangled potato chips.
Pringles?
Once you've tried them, other potato chips just don't stack up. Made a new way. Pringles come in a crushed